stop, set that scoop down before you fill your dog's bowl tonight because the big dog food test of 2026 is here, and one of the 10 most popular bags in America just failed catastrophically for lead. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a product spy lab check. This is our fight against the marketing giants, and your dog is counting on you. Now listen, because this one is personal. I'd bet money one of these 10 bags is sitting in your pantry right now. That trusted brand you've fed for years. The one your dog comes running for. The second he hears the scoop hit the kibble. And every meal, that lead doesn't just pass through him, it settles. It builds up quietly in his liver day after day, while other contaminants scrape at the lining of his gut like fine sandpaper. He can't tell you something's wrong. He just eats what you give him because he trusts you completely. That right there is why we did the work. Here's my promise to you, and it's a double one. Stay with me until the very end, because the test winner, the cleanest, safest bag on this whole list, is actually cheaper than the premium names you're overpaying for right now. I'm not naming it yet. And dead last, I'll show you a 60-second kitchen check you can run on your own bag tonight, with nothing but a glass of warm water, 2 payoffs, both waiting at the finish line. So here's the plan. We're tearing apart the 10 most recognized brands on the shelf, from rank 10 all the way up to number 1, worst to best. But before we start counting, you need to understand one trick, because it's the trick this entire industry is built on. It's called the crude protein number, that big, proud protein figure on the front of the bag. It tells you nothing about where the protein actually came from. Grind up feather meal. Yes, literal chicken feathers. Cooked down euthanized livestock rendering, the stuff no human food plant on Earth would ever touch. Toss it in the mixer, and the lab machine still reads a beautiful high-protein score. The number looks fantastic. Translated into plain English, the figure they're selling you can be near worthless garbage that just happens to count as protein on a spreadsheet. Hold on to that. You'll need it for every single brand that follows. Now the countdown. Worst first. Rank 10, kibbles and bits, $1.10 a pound. You've walked past that bag 1,000 times, right there on the bottom shelf where the cheap stuff lives. A 2024 Clean Label Project screening flagged it for cadmium and lead, 2 heavy metals, in food that your dog eats every day of his life, from a puppy to an old gray muzzle, and those cheerful little multicolored chunks made to look like tiny steaks and stew pieces. That's dead boiled corn wearing a meat costume, corn mash dyed with food coloring so it fools you, not your dog, because your dog never cared what color it was. There's no steak in that picture. There's a corn mash and a dye budget. For me, that's a clear stay away. And here's what should genuinely scare you. Rank 10 is the floor. It's the cheapest, most obvious offender on the list, and it's already this bad. So you'd think it can't get worse, right? Wrong. Rank 9 is worse. Worse in a way that will actually turn your stomach. A brand owned by one of the biggest food corporations on the entire planet. A name you know. A name you trust, hiding a compound you would recognize instantly from the antifreeze in your car's engine, listed right there on the bag, on purpose. Poured in for one reason, to keep those soft, moist little morsels bendy on the shelf so they never dry out in the store. That compound has a name. Propylene glycol, the same chemical family that keeps your car's radiator from freezing solid in January, and Beneful lists it right there on the bag for one reason: to keep those soft, moist morsels bendy on the shelf month after month. And Beneful? That's Nestlé, one of the biggest food corporations on the planet, and this is what they're scooping into your dog's bowl tonight. For me, that's a clear stay away. Rank 8 is where it stops being about texture and starts being about damage. Olroy, Walmart's own store brand, the cheapest bag on the shelf, and one of the best-selling dog foods in America. Here's what the price hides. A mold toxin called aflatoxin. Not a scary word somebody invented for a video, it's the exact contaminant behind some of the deadliest pet food recalls this country has ever seen. Dogs that ate their normal dinner and never got up. Aflatoxin grows on cheap, poorly stored grain, and once it's in there, cooking doesn't kill it. It goes straight for the liver, it scrapes it, scars it, and your dog can't tell you a thing is wrong until it's far too late. For me, that's a clear stay away. Rank 7, Pedigree, a Mars brand. The same Mars that makes the candy at your checkout. And this one you can catch yourself right now, no lab required. Flip the bag over. Right there, that line is the nightmare no dog owner wants to read. Meat and bone meal. Sounds almost wholesome, doesn't it? It isn't. Meat and bone meal is whatever the renderer swept off the floor. The scraps, the trimmings, the parts nobody would ever put on a label if they spelled it out honestly, ground down and cooked into a beige powder. That's the protein you're paying for. Solid middle, it is not. Stay away. Rank 6 brings us to a name in half the pantries in America, Purina Dog Chow. The problem here, you can't see, taste, or smell. Glyphosate. The weed killer, the Environmental Working Group keeps flagging year after year, and it rides straight into the bag on the cheap wheat these fillers are built on. Spray a field, harvest the grain, grind it into kibble. The residue comes along for the ride. Owners on the forums keep asking us why their dog's coat went dull on dog chow. The glyphosate story is part of that answer. And look, this exact poison isn't just in dog food. We did a whole check on the glyphosate hiding in the human breakfast cereal on your own kitchen table. I'll point you to it, but finish this list first because what happens next changes everything. Now hold on tight. Forget everything you thought you knew about cheap store brands. Rank 5 is Iams, and this is the moment the whole story turns because Iams isn't a premium name. It's a mid-tier bag, around $2 a pound, the kind you walk right past without a second look. And yet on the data in front of me, it's genuinely cleaner than every single giant we've just torn apart. No aflatoxin flags, no antifreeze chemistry, better sourcing than bags that cost you more and shout twice as loud. Sit with that for a second. The cheaper bag is the safer bag, which means that shiny premium price tag you've been paying, it's been lying straight to your face this whole time. And this is exactly why we do this. If you want us to keep testing uncensored, hit that like button and subscribe so the algorithm spreads this truth across the country and your dog is counting on you. That's the whole fight right there. Because from here, it only gets better. And stranger. The next brand up doesn't hide in the budget aisle. It wears the word natural across the front of the bag like a badge of honor, the one everybody trusts, the one you'd bet money is one of the good ones. And yet a class action settlement already dragged its secret into a courtroom, and the corporation that quietly owns it now is a name you would never, ever guess. That word, natural. Blue Buffalo built an entire empire on it. Green bags, a wolf on the front, the whole story about wilderness and instinct and feeding your dog the way nature intended. And folks, that empire is now owned by General Mills. The same corporation behind your breakfast cereal quietly bought the halo. Then came the lawsuit. A class action settlement over undisclosed byproduct meal, the exact stuff the marketing swore was never in the bag. Turns out it was. So why does Blue Buffalo sit at rank 4 instead of rank 10? Because its sourcing, even after all that, still edges out the giants below it. Let that sink in. The brand that got dragged into court for lying is cleaner than the market leaders. That's not a compliment to Blue Buffalo. That's how low the bar has fallen. All right? Deep breath. Because now we leave the swamp, now we climb. Welcome to the Champions League. The top 3. The 3 bags that actually earned a pass. Rank 3, Rachel Ray Nutrish, $2.40 a pound. Flip the bag over, and for the first time in this whole countdown, the first ingredient is real deboned chicken. Not meat and bone meal, not a rendering plant mystery. Chicken, no artificial dyes, nothing painted on to fool your eyes. Is it perfect? No. But based on the data in front of me, this is a solid safe to buy. Safe brand number 1 of 3. Breathe, rank 2, Whole Earth Farms, $2.10 a pound. And notice that the price is dropping as the quality climbs. Grain-free, so no cheap wheat smuggling in glyphosate. And here's the part that matters most. Third-party heavy metal tested. They pay an outside lab to check for the lead and the cadmium that sank the bottom of this list. And they publish it. Cleaner than bags that cost twice as much. Safe brand number 2 of 3, which leaves number 1. The test winner. Stay with me. The number 1 winner costs less than half of what you're probably paying right now. Ready? The best dog food in this entire lab check, the cleanest bag on the shelf, is a store brand. Not the bag with the wolf and the mountain range. The plain one, the warehouse one, the one you walk right past thinking it can't possibly be as good. Costco's Kirkland Signature, $1.35 a pound, real chicken and rice, right there at the top of the list. No aflatoxin flags, no lead, no cadmium, no dye, nothing hiding in the fine print. Read that price again, $1.35 a pound. Cheaper than Blue Buffalo, cheaper than Pedigree, cheaper and cleaner and fairer than the premium bags you've been overpaying for this whole time. A dog food that costs $1.35 did what the $6 bags couldn't. The store brand, the one they told you was the cheap stuff, beat every luxury name on the shelf. The price tag was lying to you. It always was. That's your winner. That's your podium. Rachel Ray Nutrish, Whole Earth Farms, and the champion, Kirkland Signature. 3 bags you can put in your dog's bowl tonight without that knot in your stomach. You don't have to spend more to feed your dog right. You have to spend smarter. And now you know exactly which 3 bags do that. Now, as promised at the very start, the home test. 60 seconds. In your own kitchen tonight. Pour a handful of your kibble into a clear glass of warm water. Wait 60 seconds. Then stir. Watch what happens. Clean food clouds the water slightly and holds its shape. The pieces stay pieces. But the cheap fillers, they dissolve. They fall apart into a greasy, dyed sludge, and they leave a chemical film clinging to the inside of the glass. That film is everything you don't want inside your dog. So here's your mission. Try it tonight. Pour a handful into a glass of warm water and write your result in the comments. I'll check your brands. Every single one you post, I'll read. And remember this, friends, there's no such thing as cheap dog food. You pay at the register, or your dog pays with his liver. That's the whole game. So tell me, which brand is in your dog's bowl? Are you switching? And send this to the friend who still buys the expensive bag, the one who thinks the fancy label means safe. They need to see this. Next check, the truth about grain-free and heart disease, because that story is not what you've been told either. Stay sharp, stay healthy. See you at the next check.